Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the webinar, Break the Patterns of Abuse. This is Pete Casaboon, the Angel Encourager. I'm here with Erica Rocht. Today, we're going to really talk about how you stop those cycles of abuse. Erica and I are having this wonderful conversation where we really discussed where we're seeing this really pattern in our clients of where we see this new generation that's coming out, and I'm even including myself in that new generation. I'm seeing myself as new, of being like the sort of like the dam that's holding back the abuse that's happened in the past, and being like, you know, at this generation, the abuse is going to stop and it's not going to go any farther forward. How are you doing today, Erica?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm well, and I'm so excited about this. We've gotten such good energy and vibe going. You know, a lot of people are really excited about this. And you've come up with this wonderful, beautiful PowerPoint presentation I'm so excited about because Pete's always on the fly. I am the king of imperfect action. I wear the crown. No one else may have it.
That's right. Sit on the throne of your own life and throw everyone else off.
Off with your head.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's dive in. So this will be informational, and we're definitely going to give everyone like a strategy of how we can free ourselves and how we can get free, because I'm really interested in results and moving on and giving people a strategy. So like Pete was saying, we've kind of noticed within ourselves that it's become apparent that we have a soul contract to break the limiting patterns of our ancestry, of our lineage. And it's definitely breaking the cycles of abuse, as well as patterns of disease and patterns of ways of thinking and being that are limiting, that are not life supportive, and frankly, they're negative and they don't work. And there's been this strong call. It's like client after client that I speak to, it's so clear as I look at their energy body and I look at their Akashic records, that they have decided that they've been courageous enough to be born into these families. And like Pete said, say the buck stops here. I'm aware of these patterns, and there's this incredible strength that resides within us where we decide that this is it, that it stops with me, and we're going to free not only ourselves, but past generations, future generations, so that we're not gifting this to our children so that they can be born with a clean slate. And then they have a much better propensity towards thriving and living a happy, joyful, free life, which is what we all want. So what I've come to learn is that we are the culmination of the thought, word, and deed of our ancestors up to at least 10 generations back. And, you know, we've all heard that saying, the sins of the forefathers. This is kind of where this comes from. And this thought, word, and deed is actually stored in the amino acid chain links called the epigenomes. And this has been scientifically proven. So if you think about it, there's a lot of thought, word, and deed that goes on day to day. If, our ancestors, they've gone to war, and because they're in these situations, they've had to kill in the name of, whatever the government and the country has asked them to do this. There's been displacement, there's been genocide, there's been all sorts of stuff. I'm not gonna sit here and name it all because it's a super downer, but a lot of this thought, word, and deed that we carry in our DNA, it's not all positive. And like I said, like Pete said, we have decided to come here and break that. So you might be kind of wondering, like, why now? Why is there such a huge number of people that have all contracted to come and do the same thing? And as I meditated on this question, I received a beautiful answer, which was, we're in this mass awakening and this shift that's going on in the planet. We are in the middle of ascending, raising our vibration, moving from third dimensional reality to fifth dimensional reality. And basically the divine plan is to bring heaven to earth. And a part of that plan is to clean up our lineage and free ourselves, our loved ones, our family members and ancestors, past, present, and future, of these negative patterns, so that we can have heaven on earth. Because without this cleansing and without getting free and without making peace for all of this hurt and burden, that's not really possible. So there is a grand plan in place, and we are all a part of it. And we're all very much needed. So I want to say to those, we're going to go over some of the characteristics of how do I know if I'm one of these souls. I just want to say that if you are one of these people, bravo, because it takes a very courageous soul, and almost like having that energy of being a spiritual warrior to come in and say that I'm willing to break these patterns. It's one of the most challenging but absolutely rewarding missions that you can come here with. So, Pete, do you want to do the characteristics of a soul? I
Yes.
have them right up here.
Right, absolutely. So, I mean, yes, these are definitely components that I think that people will resonate with, if they find themselves in this. And, the very first part of it, I think, is just kind of knowing that you're a little bit different. So let's kind of go through this. The first one is emotionally being very strong. And like you say, the rock of the family, the person everyone in the family frequently turns to when there's a crisis or someone needs guidance and help. And it's so much, this person, it really plays into that codependency, that codependent caretaker type of thing where, this person also tends to be more concerned about other people's happiness than their own happiness. They so tend to discount their own worth and base their own worth on the acceptance of others. So if you see this about yourself, they also tend to be the type of person that fills their cup last. If they were in an airplane that was going down, they would be the last person. They'd put the oxygen mask on. If the Titanic was going down, they would grab the last life jacket. Floating in the water, wondering why there wasn't a lifeboat left for them. And it's so much about, really needing to be at that point of self-love, where you take care of yourself, and that's how you feed others. True love. You cannot give out of something that you don't give yourself. So that's the main points I want to say. They're very intuitive and energetically sensitive. So they're constantly getting, ideas in their mind that really don't feel like they're from them. And they walk into a room and they seem to take on the energy of that room, and they tend to really kind of tune in to how others are feeling. And it's very important to them, not so much what am I feeling, but what is this person over here feeling? And I know for me, I know that I could never be not a defense lawyer, but the prosecuting attorney. I know I could never be that person, because I'd walk into the courtroom and I'd hear the story of the defendant and I'd be like, oh, but, so I just know for me, I could never do that. Plus I'd be getting all the energies from everybody else. It's a high level of awareness. And what we mean by that is that you're not just stuck in your little headspace like most people. You're not just kind of banging back and forth by the situations that come to yourself, but you're able to see things from not only your viewpoint, but from others' viewpoints as well. And the strength in this is that this person can be very much a diplomat. They can be very much a person that helps in conflicts, because they can see more than just their view, and they're able, if they can do it right, they can not so much discount their own view, but they can accept the fact that there are other viewpoints and there are other ways to approach situations and challenges than what we would just instinctively want to do. Feel like they don't really belong to their earth family, feel like an outsider. I know this was really amazing for me, because I had an Akashic reading, I had a EFT session not too long ago, and I met one of my younger selves, and he was 11 years old, and he was his family lived on Central Park West, and I had this whole scene of this entire family and how they dressed and everything like that, and I suddenly realized that's the way I dress the way I do, because that's who I really am. And I always, through my whole life, it wasn't about money or anything like that. It was about the integrity of the family. It was the whole jive of the family. I never felt like I belonged, and I was always the one. I really got really kind of picked on by my family because they were always like, oh, you're so Mr. Perfect and you're so this and you're so that, because I was just seen really as an outsider, not only from myself, but from those around. And when people would come and meet the family, I would be one of the very first ones that people would pick out because I was so different from the others. And the way that kind of reflected for me, I actually really packed on the weight. At one time I was 320 pounds because I did not want to be seen. I did not want to be that focal point because I didn't know how. I mean, how when you're a child are you like the focal point and like the strength of this family? You don't even know, everything I ever knew about family I got from the Brady Bunch, and that's only half an hour long, and all the situations seem to just turn out perfect. Alice takes care of everything, and I didn't have an Alice, you know what I mean? So they're hyper physical. Their bodies want to move the energy. It's so interesting. I just got back from Key West where I had just a major spiritual downloads. And there was one day where I literally danced 15 hours straight. And I'm not just talking the little church shuffle. I'm talking the jumping up and down, dropping. It was like it's hot. And the reason I had to do it, it was either I moved or I exploded. I had two choices. So I moved. Now I work out, at least 5 to 6 times a week. And I work out, I tell my trainer all the time, I always have like a new goal of what I want because I'm always being pushed and pulled forward and called forward. And that it's so much because we have so much energy coming to us. We need to have those physical bodies that can contain that energy. And a lot of times for people that are overweight, think of it as like a high tension wire or a wire that's carrying a lot of voltage. And you need that extra, if you're not able to handle that energy, you need that extra padding, so to speak, as an insulation to help you to control and contain that energy. So a lot of times you'll see people that are, somewhat overweight. And that's why, because they really are very tapped in and intuitive. They just don't know what to do with that energy. And the last is being very hyper spiritual. And that's not religion, that's spirituality. It's about having that higher connection and having those knowings and seeing things and just knowing things that other people don't tend to know. And also taking what I would call universal mindset, where you can see sort of that more broad, expansive of all it is. So many times I find myself in what I would call fifth or sixth dimension, where I'm actually looking down at Pete as Pete's in his life going, what an interesting little creature he is. And it's like, I'm still in whatever I'm in. And yet I'm almost sort of like, I wonder what he'll do in this situation. It's very fascinating. So if you see any of yourself in any of these components and you do tend to have that kind of codependent caretaker characteristic, and I've tried to kind of give the ideas of where the strengths and the weaknesses are in both of those. Look at me, I'm about to do jazz hands. So that you can see, how you protect yourself, but it also can be a strength that you can really take forward into the world. What do you think, Erica?
Absolutely. And I loved everything you said. What I was speaking to a client right before this, and she is one of these people. And as I was reading her energy and the patterns, what I saw was that, for many energetically sensitive souls that are brought into these families, we are wide open. And as we go into a room, we are, instead of tuning into our own vibration and our own body, we start tuning into everyone in the room, trying to figure out what do they need so that I can give it to them, so they will feel better, and then I'll feel better and feel safe. And you touched on this, and it was like, and we do this, and then it becomes our way of being. Which can be really challenging. Because like energetically, there aren't a lot of boundaries. We don't know where we end and someone else begins. And then we start taking on everyone else's stuff, which can lead to a lot of lower emotions. And you love talking about this, and you're perfect at it. Do you want to weigh into what's mine and what's yours?
Right. Yes. Make sure that you own your stuff. You let other people own their stuff. But one of the points I wanted to make sure, because a lot of times when you're in this space, you think, oh, I'm this great person because I give out so much love. But at the same point, when you're taking on other people's stuff and you're trying to be that person that makes the other person happy, you're really stripping the power from that other person. You're really coming from a point of pity, which isn't really a space of true love. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let somebody else flounder in their own stuff and figure it out themselves. Because if you're always going to be there to fix it, then you're saying you're not strong enough. I'm strong enough to take care of you and me. And that's not really a point of love. That's really a point of you trying to be the power source for everybody. It's not a point of self-love for you, and it's not a point of self-love for them. So like you were touching on what I say, Erica, all the time, you realize what's your stuff and what's their stuff. And what's really cool about this whole thing, and I'm sure we'll get into, it's really, once you learn how, it's really easy to let go of other people's stuff because it's their stuff. You know what I mean?
And it feels good to let it go instead of carrying all that burden on your shoulders all the time.
Right.
You know, just let it go. And it can be as simple as a choice. With the woman I was talking to this morning, she says, I have done this for so long, I don't know how to do it any other way. And I said to her, you know, there's no magic pill I can give you. The best thing I can recommend is to be aware of it. And as you notice you're about to do it, or as soon as you become aware, I'm doing it again, we stop and we make a new choice. And every time we decide to make that new choice, those old neural nets in the brain start to dissipate, the new neural pathways created. And then you'll notice that as these situations come up, you'll notice that that pattern might come up, but you're quicker to notice that it's happening and make a new choice for yourself. And before you know it, that pattern just doesn't have the grasp on you that it used to have. So really, it's making one empowered choice at a time.
I love it. And Gary has just raised his hand. Gary, you want to talk to us?
Yeah.
I think you're muted. I'm trying to unmute you. There we go.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to comment about I've done it so long, I don't know how to do it any other way. One of the things that tends to resonate with people is you may actually feel bad when you start doing something good. It's like taking somebody who has high blood pressure, putting them in a normotensive phase, and they go, I don't have any energy. And it's like, yes, you're supposed to feel bad. So it's okay if you start feeling bad. It's part of the process.
Yes. I bless you, Gary. You got it. Yeah. It's going to really feel awkward and counterintuitive at first, but in the long run, it's what's best for everybody. And so that's the carrot that can help you continue to keep with the more life supportive pattern. Yeah. So I love strategies. Like, let's talk about, we know what the problems are, right? We're pretty clear that we are these kind of people that were born into these families that have a whole bunch of patterns of all sorts of stuff that is limiting and is a big downer. And even if it's a pattern of disease, I hear a lot of clients, the first thing out of their mouth, whether it's high blood pressure or breast cancer or whatever the case, they're very quick to tell me, well, this is genetic, with a side order of, if it's genetic, then I'm just stuck with it. And I'm here to tell you, no, you're not. We're not stuck with any of this. Absolutely not. It can all be changed. So one of the first things I want to share are some forgiveness prayers. And specifically, there is the Gift of Life Prayers and Affirmations by Howard Wills. They literally work on cleansing the lineage. That's what these prayers do, and that's what this webinar is all about. And I've done some Ho'oponopono. That's always a fun one to. I've done Ho'oponopono and did get results from that. And then Howard's prayers were introduced to me, and they're absolutely magical. And you know how they work is, as you're speaking the words, it creates an opening within you. And once that opening happens, the divine light can come in to create the change, to dissipate those negative predispositions we are, freeing ourselves so that we can become more positive dispositions, creating a better reality all day, every day through thought, word, and deed. So that's what the prayers do. They act like a cleansing, there's cleansing, purification, transmutation. And the prayers, they're not just for you, they're also for your family, all your relationships, your ancestors back through all time, as well as for the earth and the life of the earth. So they're helping all of humanity and the collective as well. And they're absolutely beautiful and they're extremely effective. I've been doing the prayers for a really long time. And I told Pete this when we talked about doing this webinar. When I first started to do them, I really just felt as if I was reading words off a page. And I heard the little gremlins in my mind saying, this is dumb. Nothing's happening, you don't feel any different, you're wasting your time, all of that kind of talk, which really was indicative to me that I needed to be doing them, the fact that I had all of that going on in my mind. And despite what was going on up here, my heart was really guiding me to continue to do them. And the prayers they take about 20 minutes to speak them from beginning to end. And it's recommended we speak them out loud. And within about a week of me doing these prayers out loud, I was in the middle of doing them and I had an enormous release where I started sobbing, and this raw pain, emotional pain was just flowing, ripping through my body. I was sweating and shaking and crying. And when I got to the end and I just let myself feel what was going on, and I was having all sorts of physical sensations and emotions, I felt an incredible lightness and freedom that it was almost like this is how I'm supposed to feel. Like I got to the other side of it and just, I felt free for the first time. Free to be me, unapologetically me. And so that gave me a huge incentive to continue with the practice. And, you know, I'm a relatively young woman. I'm only 41, but I've got to tell you, I've been really, really healthy. I hardly ever get sick since I've been doing the prayers. My mom does them. She's almost in her mid 70s now. And my mom has perfect health. Like she's had one little blip. And we do have cancer in our family. Two of my aunts have died of cancer, and yet my mother, who does the prayers, enjoys optimal health. And if you looked at her, you would never guess she was in her middle 70s. You would think she's probably in her early 60s. She's vibrant, she's happy, she's got great health, and we all know in our family that a lot of it is from doing these cleansing prayers. So I can't say enough about doing them. And I put that on there, so if people want to find them, they can go to howardwills.com. And then the next one is raise your vibration. Find a way to connect to the light, whether you get attuned to Reiki or reconnection. Find something that you resonate with and get tapped in, tuned in, turned on, and start bringing that light into your body, because the more you work with the light, the more healing you yourself receive, the higher your vibration, you start to become very rock solid within yourself. And so that basically you become the most powerful component, so that as you go into the bank and the grocery store and the post office and you're with your family, you're so strong within yourself that other people's negativity or whatever pain or suffering is oozing out of them, you're uplifting them instead of them bringing you down. So find something, some lineage that resonates with you, and get initiated into it. That's been a huge part of my path, and it's worked very well for me. Pete, would you like to add anything to that?
Well, it's really interesting because I actually was working with a client today on this exact thing. And so I've come up with 3 short videos that I will offer for free on my Facebook page, The Angel Encourager. And so number one would be the Ho'oponopono, basically explaining how that works. And like, I think it's very important what you said, how it begins with just kind of a rote kind of memorization. You know, basically it's 4 sentences. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And the key point about that is if you're seeing yourself in a space of a victim, it's very hard to say that. But the whole point of it is you want to get out of that victimhood state. You want to get into that state of victorious, because that's where you have your true power. And the angels told me when I first did this Ho'oponopono, it was against, you know, it was with somebody that had done something to me. The angels told me there's going to be a response. So a week and a half later, I got a phone call. Oh, good news, you're forgiven and you're back in the will. And I immediately stepped in that victimhood state again. I was like, they forgave me. And I was like, oh, they had told me something was going to happen. So I stepped back into that victorious, and I suddenly got really excited about how this Ho'oponopono stuff really works. I mean, some of this stuff actually kind of works, you know what I'm saying? So that's and like you say, I even had a client that would have to say the 4 sentences, and then she have to say, you sorry, SOB. I mean, it's however you get through
Whatever
it.
works.
Whatever works, you get through it. The second point I really want to talk about is mirror work. There's 2 kinds of mirror work. The first is looking at yourself directly in the mirror, looking in your eyes, because the eyes are the windows to the soul, looking for that higher being that's behind there that actually just pours out nothing but self-love, and telling yourself the best thing you can, which is maybe it's like, hey, you're okay today. But I want you to get to the point where you're like, you know, you rock, you're awesome, I love you today. And when I first started it, I actually could not directly look at my reflection in the mirror. I literally had to shave out of the corner of my eye because I had so broken my own heart. I could not stand the sight of my own reflection. Now I can't pass a reflective surface without taking a look and being like, that works. That works. Right. So that's the first kind of mirror work. The second kind of mirror work, and we kind of touched on a little bit before, is the way people react to you, the situations that come to you come from the energy that you put out. So rather than getting mad at how people are reacting to you, say, what do I have to believe or be putting out that about myself that's making this person react to me? That's the 2 types of mirror work. And then I do something I call a cathartic letter, which is where you basically sit down with either a person, a situation, whatever it is, and you write down absolutely everything your inner being ever wanted to say about this. And my cathartic letter had a bazooka, it had a flamethrower, there was a car being driven over, there was a machete. I mean, it was extremely violent. If people know me, I don't like slasher movies, I don't like horror movies, I don't like any of that stuff, but mine was extremely violent. You get out, express authentically, you get it out. You have to express that. You have to give it its true, you know, you have to allow it to be out there. Otherwise you're just cramming it down in there. Then you take that letter, you tear it up into strips, and you burn it, and you just know that you are, you know, releasing it at that point. And I wanted to just kind of touch back on another step we were talking about before, about you were talking about these kind of cyclical patterns. Realize that it's not that you're not good enough. It's just that the universe loves you so much that they keep bringing you the same situation over and over and over again until you're finally like, you know what? Maybe I need to look at this and see why I keep bringing back this same situation. And I really want to call forth that today, the day of martyrdom is over. That's what the angels have been telling me. The days of martyrdom are gone. The days of victimhood are gone. Now is our time of being victorious. And I work with the angels, and right now Archangel Azrael is coming forth. He deals with grief and shame and a sense of loss, whatever that is, whether it's a person, a place, whether it's a pair of shoes you can't find, whatever. Anything that we lose or we feel like has been taken from us gives us grief and shame. And that's so much about what we're talking about right now. So you can ask Archangel Azrael to come forth for you. So those are just some points I wanted to talk about.
I love it. I love it. And you were just speaking about how we have these patterns where we keep attracting the same kind of situation, which seems to evoke the same kind of feelings over and over. And I'd like to speak to that for just one moment. So my motto is, if you are feeling, you are healing.
Mm.
And if you're feeling something in that moment, the fact that you are feeling it is the proof that you are healing it. And I have found that if I'm in a situation where someone has triggered a feeling within me and I blame them for it, so in that moment, I'm being given an opportunity to flow that cellular debris of anger, frustration, irritation, whatever it is, right? I'm given that opportunity, it's only when I go into blame and I blame them for triggering me for feeling like that. In that moment, I'm not healing. I'm actually adding to my cellular debris. And that's when I'm going to keep attracting people like it's, it's different characters, different faces, same emotion. And I caught on to that pretty darn fast.
I so adore you, by the way. Everybody does love this.
I'm like, you know what? So I've dropped, and believe me, it was very challenging to drop that blame piece. And actually now I'm thankful to people because I realize they're helping me heal my stuff in the moment. It's not about blame. They came into my awareness in that moment so I could release some cellular debris. They played their part. I should send them flowers and a thank you letter, not blame them, but it's a really different perspective. And before, basically, I just didn't understand what was happening. And as Jesus said, JC is one of my favorites. Man are destroyed by lack of knowledge. And, when we don't understand totally how the universe works and why these players keep coming and triggering this stuff, it is easy to feel like a victim. But when you truly understand what's going on in the game here, you see it through a different perspective. And honestly, thank you for triggering me so I can be free and release my stuff. And it's a very different way of looking at it. So I wanted to just add that.
I love that because we are taught to be thankful in all things, and people don't hear the all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because we are thankful for all that we approve of happening in our life. But man, it's inconvenient. You want me to be thankful for that? Are you kidding me? Yeah. So, all right, moving on. So the other thing Pete and I would suggest that people do is to begin working with your own higher self, divine self, mighty I am presence, whatever you want to call it, through prayer and petitioning your own inner being. We can simply ask for these limitations and the familial burden to be lifted up and out of us. And I learned this prayer that I put below. Howard taught me this prayer. And if and I wanted to share it with people, if people want to change some of the words, if some of the words in here scare them, there's whatever. But I just wanted to offer it as it is. And if people want to amend it to make it work for them, by all means. But I have found this prayer to be extremely effective and asking for the burden to be lifted up and out of me, transmuted into light, and let the love and the peace flow back down into me. So there it is. And actually, there will be a way for me to attach this little presentation at the bottom of this, won't there?
We'll figure out a way, or we'll give a web link, one or the other. I would like to say I think that's a beautiful prayer. I just want to make sure people understand the proper use of prayer. The
Yes.
First time you ask, the second time you proclaim.
Yes, I love that. Yes, it is happening now. And then, do you want to read this next part?
Sure. Awareness. Awareness alone shifts a lot. As you become aware of the patterns, you can then use the magic power of choice to not engage in them. Each time we make a new choice, those old neural nets in the brain and neural pathways dissipate, and the new choice creates a new neural pathway. As we continue to not buy into the old way, the new way becomes the new habit until it becomes your default setting. That's so much what we're talking about, doing these things by rote. And Abraham Hicks actually talks about that, where she talks about laying new pipes, about not trying to clean out the old pipes, but just to create new pipes. And they've actually seen this, in the I don't know what the MRIs, I guess you'd say, where they've seen the neural pathways just kind of die away from misuse, and the new ones, be created. And they found that so much, even like within memory. We used to think that memory was like contained in one part, and now we're finding out that you can have damage to this part, but you can still remember something that was supposedly stored over there.
Right.
So it's so much about just creating those new just through choices of habit. Habit usually happen within 21 days. So it's about, not judging. I don't feel this way yet. Realizing that if you're going in one certain direction, think of it as a train going 90 miles an hour. You're not going to instantly switch the train going this way, because you're going to derail and you're really going to hurt the occupants. But it's about slowing it down by creating new habits, slowly turning it and getting it back in the direction you want to, and not judging the process that it takes you, because it took you this long to get here. Give yourself that space to take that much time to get back around. And it's not going to take anywhere near that much time. It can take you years to create a neural pathway. It can take you days to create a new one.
Right. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, change can happen very quickly. So the next we want to talk about are energetic boundaries, which for energetically sensitive souls, and we've talked about this a little bit, tends to be a little problematic at first. So I have found that any sort of grounding exercises for empaths is really important. And there is no right or wrong way to ground. Whether it's walking on Mother Earth barefoot, it's something very simple like that seems to be very, very effective. And practice becoming extremely comfortable in your own skin, meaning being really fearless in your willingness to feel anything that arises. Because I don't know about you, but my pattern used to be, if I didn't like what I was feeling, I would start tuning into everyone else as a way to escape what was going on with me. And so once I started to become willing to feel anything that arose within me, I stopped focusing on what other people were feeling and thinking, and then taking on their experience. That shifted everything for me. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, that's just amazing. It's I think for me, it was just a tiny bit different. I think because I had sort of such a volatile childhood that I really created these very huge walls around myself, and so somehow I'm able to somewhat control whether or not something comes in or not. But I definitely had that codependent caretaker. So when we give all these different kind of characteristics, know that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have all of them into the same degree that we're even speaking of. It may be just a little bit different for you, because each person's experience is absolutely different.
Right, absolutely. And I found that the more that I've worked with the light and the divine energy and the angels and archangels, that light strengthens and fortifies us so that we become unsinkable, so that people, events, and circumstances on the outside do not have such an effect. And if I do I get some bad news, I might get knocked down, but I get back up pretty fast. So, the whole concept of having a bad day, I don't have a bad day anymore. Nothing can rock me like that. I might have a bad 15 minutes and have a temper tantrum. But other than that, it's like you become more rock solid within yourself. And I give the credit to that, to working the light. Is there something you want to add to that?
I would say that what you find is that as you come higher in the light, as you would say, which is the same way I would see it, your vibration rises. You start learning that different things change for you, like the type of people that you're willing to hang around, the foods that you eat, the circumstances that you're willing to live in, that all raises. So just know that, and there's really kind of no going back, but it's a joyous, I'm just going to say it's a joyous, triumphant ride. And, there are days when I go down, but I'm never down like I used to be down. You create a new set point. And yes, there are definitely days we're all human, and we want to have those experiences, because those are the times when we really get that contrast of how do we really want to feel. And it's what really gives us that engine. It gives us that rocket fuel that gives us the motivation to move back into a space of finding new joy.
Yes. Yeah, we find that our lows are higher and our highs are higher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, I like that. And we would suggest that you start working, if you're not already, and I'm sure you are, start working with your team of galactic light beings, angels, archangels, ascended masters. Start meditating with them. Work with them at night while you sleep. I call these dream assignments. And this is some of my favorite way of working. I actually look forward to going to bed every night because I have no idea what kind of journey they're going to take me on. But right at night before I go to bed, I just ask my council, my angels, guides, they know who they are. I ask them to upgrade me, download me, attune me to whatever energies are new that I'm ready for, and to help me release whatever third dimensional density is remaining within me so that I can blossom into the me that I came here to be. I did not mean to just rhyme and be really corny like that, but
I love it. Can I speak just a little bit to that? Because I'm feeling, I live in the deep South, and I know that as an angel intuitive medium, I get this quite a lot. I get is this the demons, or is this of God, or whatever? So this is very much a interdenominational idea. And angels are simply the messengers of God. They're, because so many of us have had what I would call not really good father figures. And so it's really hard for a lot of people to connect with this idea of a father God, because the only father figure, or the only male dominant figure that we've had in our life has abused us in some way. So the angels are a great way for us to be able to kind of relate between us and God. We're not worshiping angels. In fact, we might talk a little bit later, Erica, or maybe we'll do another one about how you and I feel about the angels, which is completely different than the way most people are taught, which is really kind of fascinating.
Say it. Let's just put it out there.
You want to go put it out there?
Yep.
So the angels know that we are on the very edge of expansion. We are part of all that is, and we have decided to project ourselves and these human experiences into a somewhat limited space of our own selves. The angels think that we absolutely rock because they know that we're part of all that is. They know that we have decided to limit ourselves in this human experience. And their role, their job is to be our guides, to actually create the path. We're almost in a way our servants. We simply put forth what it is that we want to focus on, and then it's their job to create the highest path for us to reach it. It's not about our effort. It's not about our pushed action. It's about our inspired action, about us just listening in to what we should do, being in the moment, moving forward, and then just taking those moment-by-moment inspirations of where we should move to. And the reason that we're doing action is because the angels want us to enjoy the act of doing it. But it's not about our effort, and it's not about our push-forward action. So it's all about the angels keep doing that. We like to live in the guardhouse up front with no plumbing. There's an entire staffed mansion in the backyard that we can step into at any moment with every piece of resource that we could ever imagine. Because since everything is energy, to the angels, a castle is the same as a button. We're the ones that give things meaning. We're the ones that think things are big or small or large or little or easy or hard or whatever. To the angels, it's just an energy movement. It's just another signature. And I also want to make sure this is something I always tell people, to know that since we're all energy, each one of us is our own particular signature energy packet. And without our existence, the entire universe would implode upon itself. We are all necessary components in this whole universal suit that we call all that is. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that you're completely necessary just by your being, not your doing, because we're human beings. We're not human doings. So I want everybody to know that when we speak of angels and these other types of energies, this isn't about anything. If you tune into God or Jesus, you've heard Erica talk about Jesus or Muhammad or Allah or Buddha. It's how whatever kind of energy, as long as it comes from love and from light, it's beautiful. So I just want to make sure that people understood that.
Yeah. The angels are not above us. And a lot of times we want to give our power away to them. They don't want it.
Right.
And they'll give it back to us. So like you said, they are in service to us. We just have to remember to ask. I'm hearing a lot of feedback. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could mute a few people here that might be.
Not hearing it now, but so yeah, the big thing with the angels, we all have a team. We are not doing this alone. We are crazy to think we're doing this alone. We just have to remember to ask for the help. Because of free will, and our free will is so sovereign, even the divine will not interfere with it. So ask for the help because it's available, you know?
And then proclaim it forth once you've asked.
Yes.
I always say I want you to step into joy, take inspired action, and walk in faith. And faith is knowing without seeing.
I love it. Perfect. That's a great formula. And then lastly, I suggest get the help that you need until you do not need it anymore. And so find someone, whether it's a life coach, a spiritual mentor, find someone that you resonate with that can help you along until you stabilize and you can hold your vibration on your own and you get rock solid. I did it for a while until I didn't need to anymore. And that's what I recommend.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think your coach I think everyone always needs a coach or mentor, but that's going to change. I think what's so important is to surround yourself, even if it's through the internet, because I know now that my best friends are actually through the internet. And I have a posse of about 10 people. When my vibration gets low, which happens, I will just go through that roster until I find the one that I can connect with that day. And we do the same thing back and forth, because realize it's not, we have this idea of us being these solid rock spiritual beings. We're human. We need that interaction. We need that person that can be outside of ourselves and look at us and see who we truly are, and they call us forth, into that new space and just tell us all is well. So, surround yourself, even if it's through the internet, with people that are like-minded, that will call you forth and not bring you into judgment.
Yes, I say keep the company of saints.
Mm.
And you're absolutely right. Sometimes we temporarily go insane and we forget who we are and the truth of us. And we need to be reminded. So
I love that.
It happens. And then what I would love to leave everybody with is a roadmap to a happy, healthy, abundant, vital life. And it's your life is your prayer. As you live, so you are. You are the maintainer and creator of your own health and reality. The more you love and bless yourself and all creation, the more yourself and all creation loves and blesses you. Live, love, enjoy, and appreciate the gift of life. Love and bless yourself and all creation daily, and be filled with life, love, and light. Work at it, achieve it, and maintain it through the practice of living. Practice, practice, practice all day, every day. Give thanks, be humble always, and remember, life begets life. And I think that final line sums up everything. Life begets life.
I love that. And I would like to just add to that. So many people ask me, how often or when can I ask the angels something, or what can I ask them for? They want to be involved, and it's whatever higher energy. They want to be involved in your everyday now. So you can ask them for, if you can't find your car keys, you want the perfect parking space, or what kind of milk should I buy? Or, should I call this person, or where's this, or everything, even the most simplest of things you can ask them, because we're the ones, like I say, make things big or small. To them, it's all the same. But it's about, you create that relationship by having that every day in the now, sort of like discussion, with them at all times, always calling them forth. And remember, ask first, and from then forward, it's proclaiming. Because when you go to a restaurant, you order one time, and then that meal is going to come to you. Keep calling that waiter over and keep ordering the same thing over and over again. That's your sign of lack. That's your sign of not having faith. So, because you keep saying, I've been praying for this for 20 years. Yeah, you've been asking because you've been in a state of lack and you don't believe it's actually going to come true. And faith is the door that opens it up, because we have free will. And like you said, the divine cannot bring us things unless we have that, unless we give the permission for it, because we are the point of creation. We are the point of expansion. We are the one. We are it. We are that and a bag of chips.
My friend uses that saying all the time. All that in a bag of chips.
Probably
Yeah.
kale chips. Let's say kale chips, maybe organic kale chips or something, but
Nice. And call it forth in the name of divine love. I call forth blah, blah, blah. That's how I kind of call it in, and it works for me. I'm usually manifesting things anywhere from 24 hours to 3 days. Things come in really fast. And that's the other thing that you enjoy. As your vibration increases, you'll notice that the speed of your manifestations is like in a blink of an eye, things are coming with more ease and grace.
mm-hmm.
Pretty fun. It's pretty fun. It's the way life was meant to be.
Right.
I'm convinced. And
Right.
it's what's available to everybody, you know?
Absolutely. I concur.
Yeah. So,
All right. So are there any questions from the audience? Anybody would like to say anything, or? Hey, Gary, you got something to talk about?
I just, if this is the start of many webinars, we're off to a fantastic start. Thank you so much for this. My brain is just awash with things, and we have to have about 30 other webinars to get into all of them. So let's plan on having a lot more.
I'm in. I'm in.
I'm in too.
I love it. Well, Erica, is there anything else you want to talk about today? I think we've covered just about all the topics.
I'm feeling pretty complete.
I love it. So for me personally, if you would contact me at Facebook at The Angel Encourager, I have a newsletter I send out every week that's free, and I respond to every message that's on there. I've got some, like I said, some free videos that I put together today. And I know, Erica, where would you like to ask people to contact you?
You can visit my website, Erica Rock, and that's Erica with a C, Erica Rock, ROCK.com. When you visit my website, you land on the homepage. You get a free online course that's like taking a 9-week spiritual journey. That's going to do a lot of the things we covered today in the webinar. So that would be an awesome start and a great way for us to get connected and begin a wonderful relationship together.
I love that. I'm super excited. So everybody go check out Erica Rock with a C, with fantasy C.
Yeah.
Almost like YMCA. Anyway, all right, that's fast. So thank you for everybody attending the webinar to stop the cycle of abuse. I'm hoping everybody is feeling better, because I have a feeling that everybody that's come in today really feels themselves in that position. Know that you're not alone. Know that you are being called forth to great things. Know that Spirit would not be calling you forward to this if you were not able to handle it, and if you were not an awesome individual, because most people are not in this space. And I want to put out one final shout out. Now is the time to be mindful, because so few people are mindful in this day and age, that if you walk into a room with that clear, defined focus of what you want the outcome to be, everybody else is just kind of bouncing around off of whatever circumstance comes to you. But if you walk in with that clear, positioned focus of what you want, you can't assert over other people, but you can influence. And I'm going to tell you, 99 and probably 100% of the time, you're going to get what you want. And it works for me. I had a situation in a relationship where, at night, if one thing was being presented, I'd be like, no, we're going to change it. And I would just put my clear position focus. This was going to be different in the morning. And because this person wasn't very mindful, gosh bless it, the next morning it would be exactly what I put forward. So it happens. And that's just, so now is a great time to be mindful.
Yes. Well, you've become the most powerful component.
That's
so
absolutely.
you're lifting up everyone around you.
I love it. Yes, because it all comes out of light and love. Just make sure it all comes out of light and love, and all is well.
That's right.
So I'm going to say love, peace, release. Any final words, Erica?
Oh, love you all. Thank you for joining us today.
All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.